Hello everyone. Today we are creating an elegant faux stained glass trifold card featuring Altenew's Build a Garden Linen Lily and the Cosmic Garden Artist alcohol marker set. This technique gives you the beautiful look of stained glass using acetate and alcohol markers. And the best part is that it is surprisingly forgiving. Let's get started. We'll begin by stamping our outline image onto an A2 sized piece of acetate or window plastic. Make sure you're using a solvent-based ink as it is permanent and it won't smear when we begin coloring. Before we start coloring, let's create a simple guide that will help us achieve the stained glass look. On a piece of scrap paper, trace around your acetate to create an A2 size template. Then, using a black marker and a ruler, draw diagonal lines from the left and right center points to the top and bottom center points. This creates a diamond or rhombus that we'll use as a coloring guide. Place this template underneath your acetate. We're going to work on the back side of the acetate. Coloring on the reverse side will keep the image protected once we assemble the card. Before we begin, protect your work surface. Alcohol ink can permanently stain many surfaces, so placing a craft mat or a scrap paper underneath is always a good idea. One thing I really enjoy about coloring on acetate is how different your brush strokes can look. Depending on how much pressure you use and the size of each stroke, you will create different textures throughout the background. That is part of the charm of this technique. One thing to remember though is that if you go back over an area that is already started to dry, those strokes will remain visible. Rather than fighting them, try to work confidently and embrace the texture they create. And if something doesn't turn out the way you hope, don't worry, this technique is wonderfully forgiving. Simply dampen a soft rag with a little bit of rubbing alcohol and gently wipe away the color. Once it's dry, you can color over the area again. Before committing to your project, it is always a good idea to test your colors on a scrap piece of acetate. I quickly discovered that my lightest shades were not showing up as much as I wanted, so I adjusted my color choices before moving on. I decided to begin with the background using Ocean Waves and Dusk. From the Cosmic Garden Artist marker set, I colored each diamond section, following the guide underneath as closely as possible. Working one section at a time helps maintain the classic stained glass appearance. For the lily tepals, I chose coral berry, creating a soft layer of color. Then I added ruby red to the nectary furrows down the center of the tepals, and I use these colors sparingly on the flower buds to give them a little extra depth and contrast. For the leaves, I used forest, glades, and evergreen. After adding evergreen to the shaded sections, I realized that it was a little stronger than I wanted it to be. So I lightly blended it with forest glades to soften the overall look. Don't be afraid to adjust your colors as you go. That's one of the advantages of working with alcohol markers. Once all the coloring is finished, it is time to add the faux leading that makes everything look like a stained glass piece. Using the jet black artist alcohol marker, with the bullet nib and a ruler, carefully trace over each of the diamond lines. Take your time with this step and be careful not to draw over the flowers or the leaves. These crisp black lines really bring the entire design together and complete the illusion. Now let's assemble the trifold card. Start with a piece of cardstock measuring 8.5 by 5.5 inches. Score it at 1/4 of an inch and again at 4.5 inches. This creates the narrow tab that will hold the window in place and forms the trifold structure. Before assembling the card, this is the perfect time to stamp your sentiment and add any additional details to the inside. It is much easier to do this while everything is still flat. Fold the 1/4-inch tab toward the inside of the card. Next, adhere one frame to the underside of that folded tab. Place your colored acetate panel over the frame, sandwiching the folded tab between the frame and the acetate. I position the stamp side facing outward, which keeps the colored surface protected inside the card and helps prevent the alcohol ink from getting scratched during handling. Once the acetate is secured, adhere a second frame on top to create a clean finished window. If you would like a sturdier card, simply stack an additional frame or two for extra dimension and support. And that's it. A beautiful faux stained glass trifold card that is elegant, unique, and surprisingly easy to create. Thank you so much for crafting with me today, and I'll see you again soon with another creative project. Happy crafting! Ready to make your cards move and sparkle? Join Anne-Marie, Therese, and I for Sunshine in Motion, Kinetic Cards That Shine, where we'll create interactive cards full of color, movement, and clever paper engineering. Don't wait too long. The early bird price is only available through July 30th, so now is the perfect time to reserve your spot and save. More details in the description box. Register today and let's bring a little sunshine into motion.